Katie Mandere will be joining us now. I've sent her a chat. At the dot of the hour, we will commence. Thank you all for your patience. Katie Mandere is just about to join us. I would just like her to join first before we commence the section. Thank you so much for your patience. Tonight, as we all know, Katie will be joining from Nairobi, Kenya. By my time, it is 11 p.m. in Nairobi. Thank you, Katie. I can see you've joined already. We shall now commence this section. Permit me to say a word of prayers. Brother Chinedu, if you don't mind, please give us the opening prayer. Thank you.
Can we hear me? Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah. We can hear you, sir.
Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this meeting we are about to have. Thank you because we know that everything we do is according to your knowledge. Thank you because at the end of this meeting, we would have been so impacted and we will have actionable steps to take to better our businesses. Be glorified in Jesus' name. We pray as you start, you see us through. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen.
Amen. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. This section will be recorded just now. Please, if you are not comfortable with the recording, kindly excuse us. You can watch the recording, which will be shared on YouTube. The recording starts now. Thank you. Tonight, we'll be considering a very dynamic topic with the theme Tax and Accounting Considerations when opening and running your business. This is a very important topic for us as young professionals, and that is why we have invited an established professional in the field of tax and accounting who will be speaking with us live from Kenya tonight. I'd like you to know that this training is brought to you from the auspices of Young Professionals Forum, Life Enlightenment Forum. It is my pleasure to read the citation for Catherine Mandere tonight. Catherine Mandere is a highly dedicated and skilled accounting and tax professional with a robust background in financial management, tax planning, and compliance. She has a solid educational foundation and as a CPA candidate with hands-on experience in high volume transaction environments. She excels in implementing cost-saving practices and ensuring compliance with GAAP standards. I believe in the course of this training section, we'll become more acquainted with those acronyms. Her career is driven by passion for enhancing financial processes, implementing cost-saving practices. You would agree with me that we need that so much, even at this time globally, also in maintaining meticulous accuracy in high-volume transaction environments. She is an engaging communicator, and she takes pride in her ability to demystify tax-related complexity. How do you like that tonight? She will be demystifying tax-related complexities tonight. And she does that often through her YouTube channel with titled Tax Excursion with Katie, which has garnered over 10,000 viewers. She shares knowledge and insight on tax matter through this YouTube channel. This initiative underscores her commitment to public education and her skills in leveraging digital platforms to extend learning and engagement. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce and welcome to the podium Katri Mandere. Please put your hands together to welcome her. Send in your emojis, send them in as a sign of welcoming her. Send in your messages in the chat room. Let's see, let's have them come in. Katri Mandere, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Well, thank you very, very much. I want to believe that you can hear me. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, but we can't see your face.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Isosa, and thank you also, Rosemary, for the opportunity. I'm so excited. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. I'd like to really recognize each one of you in a very special way. I can see we are around 21 of us. I really appreciate you all for making it to this forum tonight and for just sacrificing your time. I know it is not very late as it is. As it is in Kenya. Okay. I've seen I need to start my video. Let me put myself in a place where I can be able to be visible, and then I'll start my video. But in the meantime, maybe I can just talk while off the video. So welcome all to this presentation, and today we are going to look at tax and accounting consideration when you want to open and run your business. So number one, I usually want to begin by the key definitions of the terms which are involved, so that we can get exactly what, so that we can understand exactly what we are talking about. So the moment we understand the key terms in our topic, like in our topic, we have taxation, we have accounting, and we also have a business. So we need to understand each term, what it means. And then from there, we can now bring them together and see how they intertwine and how each and every aspect of this these topics affect each other. So number one, we are going to look at what is a business. What is your understanding of a business? So on to what I had prepared. A business we can say a business is an organization or an entity that is engaged in the production, provision, or sale of goods and services in exchange for money or other forms of value. And we all understand that nobody can start a business if they don't have the goal of generating some profit. So its primary goal is to generate profit by satisfying the needs and also the desires of customers through the provision of products or services. Of course, once you start up something, then you must have recognized a niche. You must have recognized a gap which you want to fill in the society, which you want to fill in the community. So in as much as your goal is also to get the profit, you also want to satisfy the needs and the desires of your customers, and in return you'll be able to get the profits. So businesses can vary widely in terms of size, in terms of structure, and in terms of industry. We have different industries, and people can be able to open businesses in different industries, and it can be in different sizes and structure. And they can also range from small to one-person startups to large multinational corporations. And they can also operate in various sectors such as manufacturing, retail, technology, healthcare, finance, hospitality, and all the other industries and different faculties that we have. And, there are also those different structures and types of businesses. We have different characteristics of a business. We have a business you must have that profit motive, because that is definitely going to be your primary objective. The primary objective of in most of the businesses is to earn profit. Definitely you want to do something that at the end of the day is going to give you returns. So although we also have some businesses which are, especially now the non-profits, which may focus majorly on social or environmental goals, where maybe they just want to impact the society and give back to the society, or maybe just provide knowledge and make people aware of some certain things that usually affect our society. So we have the profit motive in a business, we have the economic activity. There must be something particularly that you are dealing with. You could be selling or buying, you could be selling services, you could be selling some kind of a product. So there has to be that economic activity that is involved in a business. And we also have the organization and the structure. You could be the only person in that in that business, and that makes it a one-person startup. So that is now the organization and structure factor and characteristics in a business. Sometimes a business might typically involve some level of organization and management structure, such as the owners. Sometimes you could have employees, and you could also have resources that are coordinated to achieve the objectives of this business. So those are just a few of the characteristics, or maybe a few of the things that you are likely to find in a business. There has to be that profit motive, there has to be that economic activity that you're going to measure in, that you're going to participate in, and then there is also going to be that organization and structure, the owners, the employees, and the resources that are involved in this kind of a business. And as we started earlier, we say that we have different types of businesses. We can have a sole proprietorship, which is a business owned and operated by a single individual, which I understand maybe many of us fall under this category, considering that we are young people and maybe we want to venture into business, and at times we may not have the capability to employ other people. Sometimes you just want to start it yourself and see how far it can go before you can employ other people. So yeah, those are that is it. So we have maybe a sole proprietorship, we have a partnership. This is a business that is owned by two or more individuals who share profits and losses and also decision making. And then we have corporations. These are legal entities which are separate from their owners. And these corporations can own property, they can enter into contracts, and they can also incur liability. So this is this is bigger than a partnership and a sole proprietorship. And then we have limited companies, and then we also have non-profit organizations, which are businesses that operate for just social, educational, or charitable purposes rather than for profit. Yeah. So in summary, we can say that is what a business is. The moment we understand what a business is, then we bring in taxation, and then we bring in accounting in it. Then we see how these three affect each other in the industry, and how they are going to. The moment you get to understand each and every aspect of taxation, the aspects of business and accounting, then you'll be able to maneuver very well in your business. And then now we can also define tax. So a tax is a compulsory contribution to state is a compulsory contribution to state revenue by the government on workers' income and business profits, or added to the cost of some goods, services, and transactions. Yeah. So when you look at different governments in the world, their main source of revenue is taxation. Their main source of revenue is taxation. It is either taxation or borrowing, but the main source of revenue is taxation. So you find that every country will try its best to ensure that they collect as much from their taxes. And that is why many times people feel like some tax regulations are too punitive to them. If I would do an example of Kenya, there was a time our president was introducing, the parliament was introducing this the finance bill 2024, and it was not received very well by the citizens, and it brought chaos. So, but when you look at it, to some point, you find that maybe the government did not have any other choice but just to make those decisions. In as much as they were punitive to the citizens, maybe that is the only choice that they had to get revenue in order to run the government and to run the country. So that is where now taxation comes in. You find that we have also different types of taxation, which might affect individuals. Sometimes other taxes affect entities and companies. Sometimes these taxes are you directly pay them, and sometimes you pay them indirectly. And as you can see, it is a compulsory levy. It is something that you must. It is your duty. It is your responsibility to pay to your country, to your state. So we are going to look at maybe the different types of.
Hi, Katie. Are you still there? We seem to have lost Katie on the call. I will just try to reach her at the background. Please bear with us. Thank you. Sincere apologies. We're trying to reach Katie. Please do bear with us. Thank you. So sorry about the break. Apparently, she didn't know she had even been disconnected, so she'll be joining us shortly. Apologies for that. So while we wait for her to join, I'll just give a recap of what she had said so far. She has stressed the importance of tax in business, emphasizing that it is the main source of revenue for organizations and institutions, and therefore encouraging organizations to pay tax. She did mention the various types of business consigned in her introductory remark. She has joined us already. I'll just leave her to continue. Thank you. Catherine, over. Thank you very much. Catherine, we can't hear you yet. If you
All
can
right.
hear us, oh, thank you.
I really didn't know that I was not in the meeting. I think now I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I hope I am audible.
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, just a moment. I really don't know from where you had lost me. Maybe someone who was following could help me to.
You talked about the parliament and how they try to introduce some tax paying measures and the reaction of the people towards it.
Yeah. So that is what happened in Kenya. Considering that taxation is one of the main sources of revenue in the country. So, but you find that the citizens were not really receptive to the Finance Bill 2024. So, okay, I think we can now define accounting, and then from there we can move on. So accounting is a system of recording and summarizing business and financial transactions and analyzing, verifying, and reporting the results. So in a layman's language, accounting is simply trying to put your books in order, your financial books in order. And in accounting is very, very critical. Accounting record keeping is one of the things that is very, very critical. You have to have a track record of how much you have spent, how much money has come in, and anything to do with money, it has to be very detailed, it has to be very transparent, such that if somebody else comes and checks through your receipts, checks through your accounting softwares, they have to understand exactly what was happening during this particular period of time in this company. So accounting also comes in handy. Once you understand accounting, it will be easy for you to run your business, because you don't want to run your business aimlessly. You don't know how much money you have brought in, you don't know how much money you have spent, and you don't know, and therefore you cannot be able to tell how much profit or loss you have been able to make. So here, record keeping is very, very essential, whereby you need to understand there may be the different kind of accounting softwares that can be applicable for your business. We have QuickBooks, we have Sage, we have more heavier and large softwares like SAP and other accounting softwares like Zoho, and so many that can be able to suit different kinds of businesses. So accounting also comes in handy. You have to understand how much you have to be able to budget. If I'm starting this kind of a business, how much money do I need? And for after how long should I expect some profit? And then from there, you should also be able, during your that period of running your business, you should also be careful to be keeping your records very well. Keep your receipts, keep everything to show that something has been running here, so that even when maybe the taxman comes and asks you for records, and maybe they are doing some audit to your farm and some assessments, then you can be in a position to give evidence and show that yes, this is what has been happening in this company. Are we together? I don't want to find myself again outside the meeting, and I don't want to.
We are with you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iso, sir. Well, now I want us to look at the different types of taxes that affects our businesses. I'm just going to run through. As I said earlier, taxation is not a topic that many people like, but anyway, we are still going to do it. We are still going to at least get a just a moment. I'm getting that document. But I hope we are learning something already.
Yes, Katie, we've learned a lot so much. Thank you so much.
So now I want us to look at the different types of taxes that affect our business, so that even as you venture into business, you'll be having in mind the amount of tax that you'll be expected to pay to the government, and when it is due, and at what percentage it is due. So I'm going to run down through it very, very fast, and then we shall see how far we can go with it. So number one, we have the company income tax. So this is applicable to companies that operate in Nigeria. So this is for the companies, the entities, the companies that they are an own entity that is separate from the owners. So the rate is at 30% on the taxable profits. That is for the large companies, and with the lower rate of 20% for the small companies. And there is a threshold. If your company does not reach the threshold of 25 million naira, then this type of tax, you're not eligible for it. So you need to be making an annual turnover of less than 25 million naira. That is when you are eligible for this type of taxation. The company income tax at 30% on the larger companies and 20% for the smaller companies. And we have businesses that are exempted from this type of tax regulation. And some of the small businesses and the startups may not really qualify, and they'll be given a tax relief or incentives. We have value added tax. This is applicable to all businesses that involve in the sale of goods and services. And I know that you also have vertible goods that are eligible for value added tax, and there are those that are exempted or maybe they are zero rated. So the rate of value added tax in Nigeria is 7.5% on most of the goods and services. And as I've said, that some of these goods are usually exempt or zero rated. In Kenya, we have that it is called the Tax Procedures Act, where it lists down and all the QR codes for different types of products. And so it gives you a list of the zero rated goods, the tax exempt goods, and now the goods that are vatable. And in Kenya, the VAT percentage is 16%. 16%. So, during my research, I've gotten to learn quite a number of differences between the taxation in Nigeria and also taxation in Kenya. Taxation in Kenya is more centralized because taxes are collected from as a whole, as a nation. But when I was looking at taxation in Nigeria, I realized that some taxes are collected as per the states, the different states, and then only a few taxes, I believe so, are now collected, and taxes are administered as a nation. Although I realize that it is more of states and collected locally. Yeah, it is decentralized, in other words. So yeah, so that is it for VAT. The rate is 7.5 on some goods, and then we have payment is collected from the customers by businesses and remitting to the FIRS. We have personal income tax. So this is applicable to salaries and wages of employees with a company, not directly to business, but it affects companies with employees. Yes, so this is what we call in Kenya as pay as you earn. So the moment your employer has paid you, they don't pay exactly what, there is that net salary and there is that gross salary. So they get to deduct some taxes before they finally get to pay you the net salary. So these taxes that they deduct now, this is it. But this one now, it affects companies with employees, because before they pay the employees, they have to deduct this tax, and then they remit to the government on behalf of their employees. So now this is what we call the personal income tax, PIT. In Kenya, we call it pay as you earn. So the rate in Nigeria is a progressive tax rate ranging from 7 to 24%, depending on the income level. Well, that one also applies in Kenya. It depends on the income level. The higher you earn, the higher you are going to be taxed. Payment is the employers are responsible of deducting the tax source, yeah, from the employees and the salaries. Oh yeah, so it's here, pay as you earn or pay system. Yeah, so that is it. And then we have withholding tax. So this is applicable when payments are made by a business or contractors, suppliers, or service providers. So withholding tax, this is how it works. I'll give an example. If you are a professional or if you are a celebrity, you have been invited to go and present somewhere. Let us take, for example, you are a content creator, maybe you are a comedian, or maybe, you do whatever you do. And then you're invited somewhere to go and give a presentation, or you're invited somewhere to go and give a live show, or maybe just make people laugh if you're a comedian. And then before those contractors pay you, there is some tax which they withhold. Let us take, for example, you had agreed to be paid 100,000 naira. 100,000 naira. That is what is you agreed on the agreement, on the contract. But you realize that they did not pay you 100,000, but they paid you 80,000. The 20,000, where did it go? They withheld. And this majorly happens with companies which are withholding tax agents. Not just any company can withhold tax from you. It has to be a registered withholding tax agent. Those are the only ones that can be able to withhold tax, and then they remit it on your behalf. And once they remit it on your behalf, you are entitled to a withholding tax certificate to show that, hey, I paid some tax somewhere at a particular period of time. And so this is going to reduce your payable tax. It is going to act as tax credits. So that is how withholding tax comes about. Once you are contracted to give a service, maybe as a professional or as a celebrity, it's majorly paid by celebrities and people who maybe are just contracted maybe once in a while to just give their services. And then before they are paid, the company or the contractor, which is supposed to be a withholding tax agent, a registered one, they withhold some tax and then they remit it on your behalf, and then you are given a withholding tax certificate, and that is going to act to reduce your tax, to reduce the tax that you're supposed to pay, because you have already paid some tax. Somebody has paid some tax on your behalf. So it's going to reduce the tax that you're going to pay. So that is how withholding tax works. So the rate is from 5 to 10%, depending on the nature of the payment. It can be rent, consultancy, interest, and dividends. So all these have their different rates. Rent, you might find it is a different percentage. Consultancy could be a different percentage. The interests different and dividends different. And the business deducts the tax and remits it to the FIRS. Yeah, just as you have discussed. We also have the National Income Technology Development Levy. This is applicable to businesses with an annual turnover of 100 million naira and above. The rate is 1% of the company's profit before tax. And then the purpose is to fund the development of IT infrastructure in Nigeria. Wow, this is new. We don't have this type of taxation in Kenya, but I just got to learn about it while I was doing my research in preparation for this presentation, and also in preparation for another different project, which is also a good type of tax. I can see it's only 1%, so it doesn't pinch as such, but I know it is still felt by those who pay it, by those who are eligible to pay it. So we also have education tax. Likewise, this one also, I just noticed, I just got to learn about it when I was doing my research on the Nigerian taxation. We don't have education tax in Kenya. However, we have some other types of taxes in Kenya which are not in Nigeria. So it's a good thing. I'm getting to learn and I'm getting to compare. I'm getting to see what makes Kenya different from Nigeria and what makes Nigeria different from Kenya, and also the economy, the different economies. So the education tax is applicable to companies that are profit making and have a taxable income. The rate is 2% of the company's profits before tax, and it is paid to the FIRS, specifically unmarked for educational development. We have stamp duty. We also have environmental tax. Stamp duty, we also have it in Kenya. Environmental tax, I've learned it while doing my research on the Nigerian taxation. We have customs and excess duty. I think also this one cuts all across. We also have local government taxes, tertiary education trust fund. Allow me just to run through because I see time is not on our side. I don't know how the weather is in Nigeria right now, but it has been raining in Kenya. It has really been raining heavily, but we are managing. We have the capital gains tax. This one also cuts all across. I've seen it quite a number of times in different tax regimes in different countries. Allow me to confirm whether we are still together.
Yes, we are
Yes, we
together,
are.
ma.
Yes, we are together.
Yes, we are together, man.
How are you finding the session? I know taxation is not very exciting.
It's educative, ma.
All
Very
right.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's
we are
encouraging.
enjoying it, man.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'm just about to finish on the taxation part. So I also thought maybe it would be good if I bring to your attention some of the tax trends in Nigeria. This is important even as you look forward to starting a business. It is important to get to understand what is happening, what are the current affairs in your country at that particular moment, so that you're not found off guard. So I understand that there has been a digitization of the tax administration process, and there has been they've always wanted to expand the tax net, and there is this tax identification number which you must acquire. Every taxpayer, maybe every citizen, once you have attained a particular age, you need to have a tax identification number, which you think you register online, and then your data is captured by the revenue or authorities. And then from there, once maybe there is some money that is paid and it is seen against your tax identification number, then you are responsible. You are expected to pay some amount of tax as according to maybe the transaction that has been seen against your tax identification number. So this digitization of the tax administration and trying to expand the tax net is very important, which is something I've also that has also been happening in Kenya. There was introduction of the e-TINs, the electronic tax invoice management system, which has really worked wonders for Kenya because it has been able to capture quite a number of people in the tax bracket. people who had not complied, they had to comply, because you find there was this new system. Your invoice had to have a QR code, and when you scan this QR code, it tells you the amount of tax that you're supposed to pay. It tells you maybe the amount you have paid for a particular service or a good, and then the tax implications thereafter. So you find you cannot be able to buy from a particular supplier, or you cannot be able to sell to a particular customer if you have not complied with this new tax system, because they will ask you for a receipt that is compliant with the new tax system. And once you don't have it, then you have also lost that customer, because they themselves, they also want to be compliant. So that is something I've seen in Kenya, and it has really worked for us very, very well. People are still onboarding in that new system, and digitization can happen in different ways. There could be now maybe the introduction of the tax identification number like it is in Nigeria, and all this is meant to increase tax compliance. So I also noticed that VAT was increased from 5% to 7.5%. So these are some of the things that you need to be conversant with, even as you're getting into business and you're maybe going to deal with vertible goods. They need to know that the VAT rates changed from 5% to 7.5%. And then we also have tax on remote workers and digital nomads. Wow, this is something that really brought chaos also in Kenya, because in the Finance Act 2024 in Kenya, they were imposing some taxes on remote workers and digital nomads. And there are some remote, what do we call them? These remote platforms that were found out in Kenya, and some of them were in fact closed because people used to work there and they used to get some income, but they were not showing in, they were not declaring their income, and so they were not paying taxes for those for that income they were receiving. And the government ended up closing those platforms for Kenyans, and quite a number of Kenyans were affected, and that is why we had chaos. So the government wanted to introduce taxes on these digital platforms and these people who work remotely. So this is also something that I got to find out when I was doing my research, and I realized that, oh, so also in Nigeria, there's been this introduction of the tax on remote workers and also digital nomads. I don't know how you receive it, but I don't know whether the government sometimes usually just comes too much, and it's too much on the citizens, because you find getting employment on the ground, sometimes it's not very easy. In fact, it's not easy at all. So you find what young people try to do is they want to make something out of their career. They want to make their educational qualifications to just be their career. You know, for example, maybe you have done accounting and taxation like myself. You have been out here looking for a job, but you're not getting any. And then you decide to start a YouTube channel like myself, and you start educating people on YouTube. You start getting views and likes. You start getting subscriptions. And once maybe you get to a particular number of subscriptions and watch hours and views, then YouTube starts to pay you. And then when you're there, when you think now everything is running on well, then the government comes and knocks at your YouTube channel like, hey, you are receiving money from YouTube. I want to tax that one again. So you find that is what really pissed off the Gen Zs, and they were out in the streets, because you find when you look at many of the Gen Zs nowadays, they're so much into YouTube. They are so much into TikTok. They are so much into these digital platforms, because that is where they are found. Maybe they can be able to get some money. They can create some content. They can make people laugh. They can make some comedy and people will laugh, people will follow them, people will subscribe to their channel, and they'll be able to get money. And then all of a sudden the government wants to tax that one also. So that one appeared to be unfair. People are like, we have come to you, we are looking for jobs, you're not giving us jobs, we have tried our other ways, and then again you're following us there to tax us. So such kind of tax trends and innovations, we also need to be well conversant. If you want to open a YouTube channel, then you need to know what are the implications, what are the taxes involved, if they are applicable in Nigeria, so that you can get yourself ready and also be ready to pay for them. Another tax trend is focus on real estate taxation and also petroleum industry taxation. This was to increase taxes on oil products. So those are just a few of the tax trends in Nigeria that you need to be well versed. So I want us to look at some of the businesses that you can begin as a youth, some of the startups that you can start. Unemployment has been an issue in many of the African countries, but above all that, there is still a way in which we can maneuver and get ourselves something to do. So we have these different startup businesses, which as young people we can venture into, and they're actually legal, they're not compromising. You know, you could be also be having standards as a person which you strongly uphold. So there are just a few which I've listed, and we can maybe discuss them. So we have quite a wide range of business opportunities that the young people can pursue. And also considering that Nigeria's population is growing, so we have young consumer market and the economy is really evolving. So you can always find something. There is always something for everyone outside here. And some of the business ideas that are well suited for young people in Nigeria, number one is digital marketing services. When you look at people right now, even when you look at yourself and you check and you try to analyze how many times you've been on your phone today, you realize that you have been on your phone for quite a long time. So if you realize that you have been on your phone for quite a long time, then why don't you venture into digital marketing instead of just maybe wasting a lot of time just scrolling and scrolling, maybe on Instagram, scrolling on TikTok, looking at videos, maybe looking at comedy and laughing, you know, maybe a lot of time is being wasted, but there is nothing coming in return. So if you realize that you are spending much of your time on your phone, then you can venture into digital marketing services, because businesses are increasingly going online currently, and therefore digital marketing is in high demand. You can offer services like social media management, content creation, or also search engine optimization, and also paid advertising campaigns. So for this, you only need to have knowledge of social media platforms. You need to have knowledge in SEOs. You need to have knowledge in Google Ads. You need to have knowledge in content creation and analytics, which is something that just when you look at this era, very many young people are exposed to smartphones, to laptops, and this is not going to be a difficult task. So you can venture into this. digital marketing services. Get yourself outside there and do it. If you're spending a lot of time on your phone, maybe you don't have a job, or maybe the job that you have is not very engaging, you can try and look into this. Number two, we have e-commerce. We have these online stores. I know you all know of Jumia, you know of Amazon, Alibaba. So looking at Nigeria's e-commerce market, it is expanding rapidly, and you can sell physical products such as maybe fashion items, electronics, or maybe just local crafts through platforms like Jumia, Konga, or even set up your own website. You can just have your own website, have products running there. You may not really be having a physical shop, but maybe once somebody makes an order, then you can be able to go and find it, find that item for them. So also you can venture into e-commerce and look at the online stores. And the only knowledge that you need here, the only skill that is needed for e-commerce is just basic knowledge of website development, marketing, and logistics management. Now, when you look at maybe your status viewers, right now, if you post something on your status, maybe you have 50 viewers, some of you might be having 70 viewers, maybe 100, or maybe even up to 200 or 300, it depends. All those people are your clients. All those people are your customers. Because imagine if you post a microwave and all your 100 viewers view it. I'm sure 1, 2, or 3 will be interested and they will ask you about that microwave and they will want to buy it. And that is how you'll have started doing e-commerce. That is how you'll have established an online store. So don't just sit on this information. Start. Sometimes getting a job, yes, is very difficult, but what are you doing in the meantime? You can get into online stores and sell physical items, electronics, local craft, fashion items through those platforms like Jumia, Konga, or you can just set up your own website and sell. Number 3, we have agriculture and agribusiness. Well, I know this is not for many of us. Not many of us do agriculture and agribusiness. You know, it is an evolved generation. People have gone digital. People don't like getting dirty in the farm. People don't like, getting into agribusiness. It is one of the industries that young people really don't like to associate themselves with, but it has a lot of money because people must eat. You know, anything to do with food, that thing sells a lot because all this kind of food stuff that we normally eat here and there, they definitely come from the farm. So imagine getting into the agriculture and agribusiness sector. It's not very exciting, it's not very interesting. Maybe many of you may not venture into this. I know you all like digital marketing, you like e-commerce, but try. Try keeping poultry, try keeping some rabbits, and let people know that you're doing it. Don't also make yourself visible. Sometimes maybe we are ashamed of what we are doing. Let people know that you're doing it, and you'll be amazed. You'll be shocked how many people will come and ask you for maybe a rabbit. They want to buy a rabbit. They want to eat. They want to get chicken. So agribusiness is also a critical sector with vast opportunities: farming, livestock, poultry, and agro-processing. You can also venture maybe into these fertilizers and pest food. That is still in agriculture and agribusiness in case you don't want to get very dirty.
handling maybe livestock and farming, going to the farm, you can maybe deal with them fertilizers and pet food. So with a focus on organic and sustainable farming practices, you can tap into both local and even export markets. And what are the skills that you need to venture into agriculture and agribusiness? You just need the knowledge of farming techniques, animal husbandry, and supply chain management, of which some of these skills, in one way or another, maybe you have learned them. Maybe your parents were farmers, your parents maybe were keeping livestock, and maybe you happened to know how they used to go about this kind of processes. So it is not something that is going to be difficult. If you try it out, if you are interested, then you'll definitely make something out of it. The other business that young people can venture into is event planning and management. I noticed that Nigeria is a country where social events are a big deal. And if you have good organizational and planning skills, you can help organize weddings, parties, corporate events, and conferences. So why not? Why not? You can try event planning and management. And the only skills that you need in this is just event planning. This one, maybe you may not even need to go to school, although I know people who have gone to school for this. But, event planning, just, getting to plan for an event, the program, everything that is involved, it's not very tiresome. It doesn't really require a lot. So you just need skills such as event planning, vendor management, marketing, and also budgeting. And you're good to go for event planning and management. We have fashion and clothing. So fashion industry is booming, yeah, with a growing demand for local designs, especially those incorporating African fabrics. I know Nigeria is
Hi,
good at.
Katie.
Hi.
Yes, so we'll have just 1 minute to wrap up if you don't mind. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So those are okay. Let me just wind up. Let me go straight to conclusion. So I'll conclude with the 5 P's. So 5 P's. Number 1 is that you must have a plan. Have something going on. Have something that you want to pursue. I'm going to rush very quickly. Have people. Make networks. You don't have to, just ride in the shoulders of big people. Some of these people, they're willing to help you. They don't need money from you. Just be there, be aggressive, and be willing. Talk to people and make connections. Number 3, P, passion. Have passion for what you're doing. Once you have a plan, you have connected with people, do whatever you're doing with passion. And then have a purpose and trust the process. With that, I think we can come to the end of this conclusion. I want to believe that you have gotten a thing or two. I know I've not finished on the business startups that youths can begin, but I'll just mention maybe you can also start a photography and videography, interior design and home decor, import, online content creation, and transport services, beauty and personal care. All these things, they're interesting to people, and you will not lack people who are going to maybe uh, uh, be your customers and maybe help you to excel. So yeah, with those many remarks, let me open the session for question and answer. Thank you, Mr. Isosa. Let me give it back to you.
Thank you so much, Katie Mandiri. What an educative section it has been. Please kindly put your hands together for Katie Mandiri. Let's have your comments in the comment section. Let's all type thank you very much. We are grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So while that is going on, I'd like to invite my fellow co-moderator for tonight, who will be taking the question and answer segment. Please permit me to introduce to you Rosemary. Rosemary, please, you have the floor. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Katie. That was entertaining. And thank you everyone for joining. I would also like to commend Katie on two things, especially two things. One of which is that she made due diligence in finding out taxes and tax related things in Nigeria, which is, I think it's a whole lot. Thank you so much for that, Katie. And then at this time, for Katie, she's 2 hours ahead of us. So that means she's already in tomorrow. She's in Thursday. Thank you so much, Katie, for staying up. Now, this is the question and answer session. So I'd like to ask if anyone has questions from the session that has just been delivered by our facilitator for today. So if you have any question you'd like to ask concerning tax and accounting, starting up your business, when you're starting up your business, what are those things that you need to consider in areas of tax and accounting? Okay, someone has their hands raised up. All right, please unmute and ask your question.
Thank you so much again, Katie. My question borders on taxation. Why is it that the government of every country in the world, globally, depends so much on taxation for survival? And in most cases, these are multiple taxation. For example, I work in an organization. The organization pays company tax. I pay personal income tax. I go to the supermarket to buy bread. They charge me for consumption tax. Different taxes here and there, right? And we even hear that in some countries like the United Kingdom, that so long as you are a citizen of that country, even if you live elsewhere in the US, in Canada, wherever, you will still be taxed, right? And now you also did mention that even pushing content on social media as a content creator, you pay tax for it. So how do you reconcile the heavy dependence of government on the tax of the citizenry? Who holds government accountable? Because every year so many projects is tied to even taxes they have not seen. I understand in countries like the United Kingdom, you know, people that fall within a particular tax bracket, I think £40,000 and up, they pay as much as 40% of their earnings, footballers and co. And I understand that was one of the reasons a Nigerian footballer, names withheld, refused to come to play in England because of the percentage, the large chunk of his money that will be going for tax. So why this so much dependence? And if, for example, because at the closing remark of your training section, you did encourage us to take on so many businesses. Now, if I'm to run my business as an individual, how do I report my tax? My I don't know what is this called. The tax that my business is making, right? Thank you. That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Before we take that, Katie, I would like to confirm Victory. We would like to acknowledge those who are joining us on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for that. Victory, if you are there on this call, can you let us know if we have questions on YouTube? You can interrupt me anytime if you have the questions, and then I will take them. Okay, so Casey, before we answer that, I'm going to ask you one more question so you answer the both of them at the same time. A question is, someone has asked the question, does a newbie in business really need to get accounting proficiency in order to succeed in the business? I'll take that again. Does a newbie in business really need to get accounting proficiency in order to succeed in the business? So, Katie, I would like you to answer both questions simultaneously, if you can. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for those questions and those concerns. Well, taxation is a puzzle that it's very difficult to understand because when you look at many of the wise people of old, there's a saying that they once say that a country cannot tax itself to richness. And unfortunately, that is what we realize is happening in many of our countries. You find that every government is imposing very punitive tax regulations on its citizens. And when you look at maybe what the citizens should get in return, you find that there is not much as we would expect as citizens, and it is not much as we are paying for the taxes. Because you find you pay a lot of taxes, but when you look at the transport sector, when you look at health sector, it is not improved. It is not to the standard that we expected our taxes would work for us. So it is a question that uh, well, who holds the government into accountability? You know, the government is supposed to account to its citizens. You know, we as the citizens, we are the ones who employ the government. But when you look at it as it is right now, and when you look at the trend in many of the African countries, you find that uh, it's like now the government has gained more power than the citizens, yet it is the citizens who should have power because they are the ones who elect the government. So many of the governments have been, we'll say maybe they're manipulating its citizens. So, you know, it's like now the citizens do not have a voice. They just have to dance to the tune of the government. If I'm to take an example of Kenya, the Gen Zs were outside on the streets trying to voice out their opinions and to air out what they feel and they feel like should be done. But you know, everything just continued like that, and later on, it's like everything has gone back to normal. So that is where we are currently heading. Uh, I don't know really what we can really do to maybe help the situation, but as it is, that is how the trend is moving. Of course, the government is supposed to give account to its citizens on how it is using the revenue it is taxing from the citizens, but unfortunately, it is not happening. And then there is this question Mr. Isosa asked about, if you are starting a business, how will you know the tax that you're supposed to pay? Well, when you look at every type of tax, there is an eligibility criteria. Let us take, for example, maybe VAT. For you to be eligible to be paying VAT, then you must have attained a particular a particular turnover. Your business should be able to give a turnover of, was it 25 million naira? So below that, you are not eligible for VAT. So it's not all the time that when you start a business and maybe you're dealing with vertible goods that you're going to register as a VAT taxpayer. Only when you attain the requirements. Let us take, for example, pay as you earn. Definitely, people who are not in employment do not fall under this bracket. This one is only for people who are in employment and also for employers. So if you are an employee, if you have your own company and you have employees and you're paying them some amount of money that is above a particular threshold that should be
should be paid pay as you earn, then that is when your company will have to register as a pay as you earn taxpayer, and then you'll be able to be remitting the same to the government. But maybe if you're having a few employers, and maybe you are paying them some small wages which are below the tax bracket, the tax rates, they are below the salaries that are supposed to be taxpayers you earn, then definitely you don't have to register as a pay taxpayer. So when you look at each type of tax, you realize that there is a eligibility criteria, and so it is not all the time that you'll have to pay taxation. If you don't reach the threshold, then just continue with your business until the time when you are able to reach maybe that amount of turnover that the government wants, or maybe you start paying your employees the amount of tax, the amount of money that is taxable to the government. And then there is this question, does a new beginner, I believe this is a new beginner in business, really need to get accounting proficiency in order to succeed in business? Well, as an accountant, I would say yes, because I also do consulting for some people and some companies, and sometimes you want to get some information from them and they totally do not have. And you find these people come to you when they have reached the end, when maybe the taxman has come and knocked on their door, and now they are tensed up, they are panicking, and they're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Let me look for an accountant. And when you ask them for some documents, like maybe the receipt for which they pay rent for their business premises, they don't have. Maybe a receipt for a particular asset they bought for the company, which is a big asset, they don't have. These are some of the important documents that you need to be keeping. Accounting proficiency, when you look at accounting, it is a process of recording, putting financial information into a system where you can be able to retrieve it. So it is important that as you start your business, start very well, start with very good record keeping, be transparent, be able to retrieve information maybe 5 years later or 10 years later. If somebody asks you, how much rent have you been paying for this business premises? You can be able to bring out the receipts and show, this is how much I've spent on rent, because whether you are starting or whether it's a continuing company, there are expenses which are constant. For example, rent, maybe other utilities like water, electricity, and such like. So it's good to just start safe. Yeah, because later on in the future, you are going to need this information. Yeah, so it doesn't matter whether you are a new beginner or you're a continuing company. If you're a new beginner, just start very well with very good record keeping, because soon your company is going to grow. Soon your company is going to be audited. Soon your company is going to be assessed. And you'll need to provide evidence, you'll need to provide receipts, you'll need to provide information. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Katie. I think the questions were well answered. We have some other questions in the chat, but fortunately, our daddy is doing justice to the question, and I know that they are well answered, because if you were listening earlier, Ms. Kathy explained the difference between withholding tax and value-added tax, and daddy has done justice to those questions that have been answered in the comment section of the group chat. So I want to finally ask if there are other questions that need answering, because we are bringing the session to a close. Any other person has a question to ask? At this point, I think we do not have Oh, okay. Good evening.
Yeah, my name is Amarachi. My hands are actually yeah, but I want to find out, is there ever going to be a possibility that the government may go after like freelancers? Because when you're freelance, like you are, it's like your own personal business, sort of. So, is there any? Do you think that the government can go after people like people that are doing like freelance work, maybe freelance graphics designing, freelance tech jobs and stuff like that, to tax them? That's it. So when I say go after, I mean like, do you think the government would ever get to a point where they get this, they start taxing freelancers?
Okay. I think Katie, did you get that? Hello, Katie. Okay, I do not think she is on the call anymore. I do not think she's on the call anymore, but I'm just gonna give her a minute to get back. But let me try to delve into that pool of shark infested waters. I think it came up in the news sometimes earlier, like few weeks back, that um especially for tech related jobs, the federal government, it will start charging taxes on people who are in tech, and I think social media as well, like social media influencers. So fingers crossed, hands are tied. I do not know. It was just a rumor that hasn't been established or put into law. So until then, but Katie mentioned that they were being charged in Kenya. I think I heard that. I don't know what area or sector they are being charged for. So hands tied. Okay, Katie, you're back. Please, can you give us an answer on that?
Yeah, she asked whether the government will get to people who are doing
Exactly.
freelance.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, when I analyze, when I do my own analysis and look at the trends in which the government is taking, you realize that these governments are really determined to get the best they can out of taxation. They are exploiting ventures that they never knew existed. So you find if they're now getting into content creation, they have realized that people are getting money from these sources, people are getting money from these activities. How are we going to tax them? So they are looking for ways in which they can be able to bring all these uh, uh, sources of income into the tax bracket. Because if I'm to take an example of Kenya again, you just allow me because I'm here, and maybe it could be the same. The same could be happening in Nigeria. So here in Kenya, what happened with the with the content creators on YouTube is that they wanted to regularize. They wanted to bring like a law and an act that is going to govern those people, whereby they have to register with uh, this filming company. They have to register with the filming regularizing body in Kenya. So before you create content on YouTube and you post some content on YouTube, you have to be registered. You have to be given a license, something more of a license with the filming board in Kenya. So you see, that one was to bring some kind of control. That was to bring all these people together and to get to know them, and also now start knowing how much they're earning and bring them into the tax bracket. So that is what had been introduced in the Finance Bill 2024, but it was rejected. But when you look at now how the trend is going, there are some platforms that people had to stop. People no longer work in those platforms, the online and remote works, because the government got to know about it, and the government was bringing some kind of regularization and control so that it can impose some taxation on those uh, on the people who are getting money from those platforms. So looking and analyzing at the trends which the government is taking, at some point I feel like they may be able to reach the freelancers at some point.
Okay, at some point. Thank you. All right. So we've had one of our participants leave something in the group chat that there is obviously something existing for freelancers that we are supposed to pay. You are supposed to pay if you're a freelancer. All right, thank you so much. At this point, we'd have to draw the curtains on tonight's session. Thank you, Katie. We've kept you past your bedtime, but we are appreciative of how far you came on board to help us despite the time difference. We acknowledge those who are joining us for the first time. If you are joining us for the first time, we would like to know you and say hello to you. So you can unmute and just say hi to the house if you are joining us for the first time.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I'm joining for the first time.
Okay, Amarachi, thank you for joining us. We hope you had an enlightening session today, rather, forgive me. And then we acknowledge those, okay, Blessing, welcome, thanks for joining. We also acknowledge those who are joining us on YouTube. You can leave your comments on YouTube and then we say hello and hi to you as well. And thank you also once again to our facilitator for joining us from the eastern part of Africa. And as you know, in the YP-LEF.
Kemi,
Good.
joining for the first time.
Oh, hello, Kemi. Thank you, Kemi. Yes, thank you for joining us. Yes, we do have the recorded version of the session. And we can watch on YouTube. It's available on YouTube. So thank you, Shola, for joining as well. We are happy to have you, and we hope that you come again in a fortnight. So this happens fortnightly. So in 2 weeks, we are joining again. We'll be converging again to have another session, and it is enlightening as well. So I am forgive me, I would extend it by a minute. I feel like this month is a very special month regardless, because it looks like every November we have international facilitators coming to dish out beautiful nuggets. If you think I am not saying the truth, then you can go back and see what we have from previous years in November. So next fortnight would also be coming back together. And if you are not on our WhatsApp group, please let us know. We're leaving the group link here so that you can join us. At this point, I would like to call on our leader, our founder, our lead convener, our Pastor Olulade, to give us the closing remarks while we end tonight's session.
Thank you very much. This is another enlightening evening, and I want to commend the highly cerebral, soft-spoken Catherine, who had taken enough time to take us through an educative program tonight. Thank you very much, because the high price taken to help us as young professionals. We've gained a lot. And beautifully, you've gone past the tax that is not welcoming. I can see Sosa sounding very pained. Well, if you've been in the UK, you actually know exactly why he's talking that way. Unfortunately, whether they are going to get easy with it or not is a political question, and therefore we can't hold them. Tax is key, but thank God that Kate has gone beyond this, telling us opportunities that are bound for every one of us to take advantage as young professionals, so that we can learn. We are most grateful to those entrepreneurs who are joining us tonight, who actually are also adding values, onto us on every side. Thanks, everyone. Let's do this again. We are committed to increasing value in the life of very young professionals around the globe. And this we do freely to ensure the fact that every life can be built. So bring your friends. Let's learn together from those who already know. Have a wonderful evening. We love you all.
Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you. Before we go, I'd like to just announce that the topic for the next session is getting to the top and remaining there. So you do not want to miss this because, like I said earlier, that the facilitator will be having is and of international standards. So you want to come and see who this person is. You just might know this person because it's a popular figure. So thank you once again, everyone, and have a pleasant night rest. Thank you so much, Catherine. We hope that you come on board another time. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Good